RFK Jr.'s Senate confirmation hearings have only confirmed everything that we knew about him before, that he is a dangerous extremist, that he holds radical beliefs, that he is in this only to push his agenda, enrich himself, and of course, serve Donald Trump. And he's willing to lie to do so. And Republicans are mostly all willing to go along with that lie, although we still have the opportunity to put pressure on them. And that is exactly what Elizabeth Warren did, and one of the most important takedowns and callouts of RFK Jr. and his nomination that I have seen so far. And it clearly shook up Donald Trump because it led to a really weird, one of the stranger, and that is a high bar that Donald Trump has set, but one of the stranger Truth Social posts he has put out yet. And I want to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into Donald Trump's really strange post, first, let's hear what Elizabeth Warren had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we had our hearing last week, Mr. Kennedy has amended his ethics agreement. Recall that his ethics agreement said that while he was Secretary of HHS, he intended to retain a financial interest in ongoing vaccine litigation that he was already collecting money from, and that he wanted to continue to collect that money even though he could affect the outcome of that litigation. Now, he has since changed his position on that. Once this has been exposed and people have talked about it and have some pretty serious reservations about his doing that, he has said that he will instead give his financial interest to his son. That is a fig leaf that is so small, it would take a magnifying glass to see it. No one is fooled about what's happening here. Mr. Kennedy refuses to say that he will not participate in these lawsuits financially the day after he leaves office. And yet, Mr. Kennedy has acknowledged, first, that the American people have a right to know that the decisions you're making are decisions that are in their interest, not in your future financial interest. He has said he thinks that's the right standard, and yet he has figured out how to make money off his anti-vax positions. He's already raked in $2.5 million. He is in a position where he can affect the outcomes by things he does as Secretary of HHS, and yet he refuses to say that he will delay by even a day taking on anti-vax lawsuits the minute he leaves. That is an appalling conflict of interest, and it's one in which the American people can reasonably ask, is Mr. Kennedy's plan to help the American people, or is he planning to use this job to further enrich himself, and he's pointed out with his son, and enrich his family? The importance of this litigation cannot be overstated. This is not only about a private company that gets sued and has to pay out. Vaccine manufacturers often operate on very slim profit margins. If they get sued repeatedly and successfully, they simply move out of the vaccine space. We've already seen this happen with vaccines in the past. 20 years ago, we watched vaccines just move away if they did not have protection from these kinds of lawsuits. The consequence of Mr. Kennedy's ability to make those lawsuits easier is also the ability to shut down access and manufacturing for vaccines for every one of us, and I think that's a terrible mistake.
RFK Jr. hasn't been confirmed yet, and hopefully he won't be, but it's very clear that he's already in line with the approach that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are taking to governing, and that's intimidation. That's the name of the game for them. They know that there is only so much slashing that they can do. They can only purge so many employees. Civil service protections in place keep them from having the mass firings that they want. And the same is true with RFK Jr. He can only push so many vaccine conspiracy theories. He can only espouse so many extremist beliefs. But if he continues to, as he has in the past, push forward lawsuits against these companies that Elizabeth Warren said have very slim profit margins, he can either bankrupt them or intimidate them enough that they're pretty much under his purview, that he can control them, that he can tell them what they should and should not do. And that's what RFK Jr. is all about, is using the power that he already has from the following that he's built up and the office that he may well assume very soon to intimidate. That is what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are about as well. It's what we have come to see from them, and it's why Donald Trump is reacting so strongly to what Elizabeth Warren is saying, because she's right in calling out RFK Jr. That's why Donald Trump posted this insane Truth Social post right here. Trump wrote, 20 years ago, autism in children was 1 in 10,000. Now it's 1 in 34. Wow, something's really wrong. We need Bobby. Thank you, DJT. You would think it would be too crazy to have a potential HHS secretary espousing the insane beliefs that RFK Jr. does, attacking settled science as he does every single day. Now we have the president pushing these conspiracies. It's not a shock that Donald Trump is going to do something horrible, make an awful post, create chaos, but I guess it doesn't continue to be surprising, but it is always disappointing. It is always disgusting. It is always disgraceful. And one of the best points I think I've seen been made about RFK Jr. in these hearings is that if RFK Jr. really cared about these problems, if he really did care about health, he wouldn't be pulling us back decades trying to rake up old issues, right? Wouldn't be attacking settled science that then has to be defended for RFK Jr. Although it's already been proven, scientists would be able to focus on advancing new technologies, learning more about these diseases, learning more about how to make Americans healthier. But instead, they're fighting with RFK over settled science. He is not only taking us backwards, but he's keeping us from going forward. That is what this is all about. And again, it's the intimidation factor. It's what Elizabeth Warren was also calling out. Gosh, she's had a good week. Elon Musk right here.
Senator Murray, who are we going to next? Okay. Senator Warren.
Thank you. Thank you. So I just want to be clear about what's going on here. The system that makes sure that your granddad gets his Social Security check, the system that makes sure that your mom's doctor gets Medicare payment to cover her medical appointment, and the system that makes sure that you get the tax refund that you're owed has been taken over by Elon Musk. And every organization from your state government that uses federal money on that bridge project to the local Head Start that takes care of little kids while their mommies and daddies go to work is now at the mercy of Elon Musk. Maybe you get paid, or maybe you don't, because now it appears that all of us work for Elon Musk. Elon just grabbed the controls of our whole payment system, demanding the power to turn it on for his friends or turn it off for anyone he doesn't like. One guy deciding who gets paid and who doesn't. It is not the law, but it is the reality. Now, there's a second problem here. It's not just payments from the federal government that are now in Elon's control. Elon and his handful of friends now have full access to your personal and financial information that's in the system. Your payment history, your Social Security number, your bank account numbers. Elon now has the power to suck out all of that information for his own use. Now, whether it's to boost his finances or expand his political power, it is all up to Elon.
It is clear what the intention behind all of this is to make people afraid, to make them leave, so Donald Trump can install his own people. That is what RFK Jr. is all about as well, installing his own people, and in this case, it's himself, right, at the top of HHS. That is what they are all about. And they can move out the people who really care about this stuff, then they can put in the people who won't care when Donald Trump wants a third term, when Donald Trump wants to break the law, when Elon Musk wants to access your Social Security number. And I heard a very troubling theory recently about how Elon Musk wants access to all these government payment systems because he's trying to start a kind of a quasi-bank, quasi-payment system, sort of like what happened with PayPal, where he started out on Twitter. He wants that to be a part of the app, and that's possibly why he's accessing these government payment systems. Could there be anything more corrupt than every action Elon Musk takes every day? It's incredibly frightening. It really is. We have to keep hammering these people every single day. And, of course, we started talking about RFK Jr. I want to close with something else Senator Warren had to say.
You financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines. I support the childhood schedule.
It is frightening. It really is. And I think we have to be very careful with how we message against RFK Jr. to make it not seem like we are defending big pharmaceutical companies or we are defending the status quo in the healthcare industry. That's why I thought it was so important that Bernie Sanders asked if RFK Jr. believed healthcare was a human right, to prove that this is not a guy who actually wants to make you healthier. It's just a guy serving his own conspiratorial agenda. That is a very intentional messaging effort we have to be a part of. Because as I continue to say more and more on the show, Donald Trump and Elon Musk and their buddies control the information platforms that we have to use. Google, Twitter, all of Meta's platforms, so Facebook and Instagram, TikTok. It's getting even more difficult to message. So we have to be that much more focused, and we're going to be that focused on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.